The Global Latin Factor Podcast.
Welcome, you and all, to another episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. That's right. Welcome to another podcast. Make sure you go and subscribe to the channel for the ones that already continue to subscribe, continue to enjoy the episodes, and comment. We appreciate it very much. And today, just like every single episode, we have an amazing Latino here in the house. He is a portrait and wedding photographer, videographer, owner and photographer for Aldo Emmanuel Images, partner of Eratik ENT, co-manager for Mandy Red. He has been featured in different magazine articles and shot the cover for the Best of Show magazine, a publication based out of California. We have Aldo Emmanuel, the photographer and La Casa. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
We're not going to front. So what had happened was, I don't like lying or misleading people. We had recorded this episode before, but we had technical difficulties. So I appreciate you very much for being here.
Appreciate you having me and not just telling me, like, all right, we're just going to go to the next one.
But you know, at least it's good practice for you to be more comfortable with the lights and the camera. Because you are going to be an actor eventually.
Yes,
so,
for sure.
You know, you're going to have to get used to this.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
Yeah.
We're training
Appreciate
you well.
It, man. Thank you.
All righty, so here we go. You know what the business is. Preguntas al Chile. I hope you're ready.
Preguntas al Chile.
Tacos.
Okay. Corn tortilla or flour tortilla?
Corn.
Okay. Gorditas o sopes?
Gorditas.
Jarritos or Fanta?
Jarritos.
Okay, what flavor?
Tamarindo.
Agua de horchata, jamaica o tamarindo?
Jamaica.
Okay. Salsa verde o salsa roja?
Salsa verde.
Salsa verde.
Yeah.
Menudo o pozole?
Menudo.
Churros o flan?
Flan.
Valentina, tapatio or Cholula sauce?
Cholula.
The paletita, the candy ones, do you like the chile, the corn, sandia, or mango?
The sandia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the conchas, the brown ones, the white ones, or the pink ones?
The white ones.
Okay. And Carlos and I love a conspiracy. So this one's an edition that we just started. I started it, actually.
Okay.
It's called, it's a conspiracy theory that you could almost guarantee is true.
Oh, that we live in a simulation.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Certain things happen very funny that it almost feels like a movie sometimes for me.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I wonder if this is something more.
But you know why, though? Because to me, like, it's kind of weird. Like, it kind of falls back into, like, manifesting and all that.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing a video game, you know what you want. You're going to pass the game, right? You progress through the game.
Yeah.
You get missions and all that.
True.
And you're going to pass it regardless, unless you stop playing the game.
Yeah.
And in life, as long as you keep chasing your dreams, they're going to come true. Unless you stop playing the game, you give up.
Yeah. And then even levels within our lives,
Your level,
like changes.
Things seem harder. You look back, you're like, man, that problem wasn't even ending.
Yeah.
And then the next year, you look back at the problems you face, and you're like, man, I survived it. You know, so you level up just like you would in a game.
Yeah, that's pretty good evidence. Okay, so when you hear the word itself, the word Latino or Latina, what comes to mind first?
To me, it means culture.
Culture.
Yeah.
Culture. And as far as for yourself, do you prefer to be called Latino? Do you mind to be called, Mexican American or Mexican? Which would your preference for you?
I don't have a preference either way because they're all true.
Yep.
You know,
We're all people. We're all human beings.
yeah.
We just decided to label ourselves and create imaginary borders that don't exist.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So you actually did your homework because I do ask people to send me 2 questions. But just because I want to cater to you, right? I want to make sure that things that you want to talk about are touched on just because it's important to you.
Yeah.
So because I feel this is important to you, I'm going to ask, so what is the best way for our culture, example, Latinos, to raise our standard of living?
Education. I think education is going to be, well, I mean, not just Latinos in general, but especially us, because I think when we immigrate from somewhere else,
right,
sometimes there's a little disconnect between the culture that we left behind and then also integrating ourselves into where we are now. And I think that our children need to understand that they come from something big. Like our ancestors, our culture in Mexico or Latin America in general, you know, wherever you come from, there's a culture there. There's a big, in Latin America, it's a lot of culture. True. So a lot of times, I know I felt it when I was younger, there's a disconnect where it's like, my culture, what is it? Just cooking out. It's just drinking. And there's way more than that. And I think that we need to do a better job to teach our children where we come from. Because when you know where you come from, it just helps you feel more connected to yourself and to what you can achieve. You know?
And by education, you don't mean like what everybody thinks whenever you think about education, like book smart.
No. Educating yourself in your environment. You know, you learn. You know, where in the particular instance where you are, you could be educating yourself in the street. You know, and I don't mean necessarily doing bad stuff, but surviving in the street or surviving in certain situations. You educate yourself, are open to it, so that you don't become like a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, and you think that probably by you educating yourself, especially within your culture, you'll probably expand your mind and your horizons as far as what you are able to do.
Big time.
And the things that live inside of you as far as your ancestors, that you'll be able to do more.
Yeah.
Not only just what you're accustomed to, but realize the DNA, the heritage of that you inherit and you can carry on.
Yeah, it's because, you know, like, I mean, I know if I've felt it, like when you go somewhere and you're unsure of yourself, you feel like an outcast, even if you're not.
Right.
You feel and you look at things differently to where it's like when you're secure yourself because you know where you came from, you know what you're capable of, because you can look back and say, you know, our ancestors built the pyramids. You know, we have pyramids as well. You know, we built religions and cultures and beliefs and family and all that. That we have that. So when you know that, you're able to walk into place anywhere and say, look, this is me. This is who I am. And you can face any challenge, really, or anything that comes up to you.
And then with that, you feel like that would help you raise your standard of living as far as
for sure. Because,
how you carry yourself.
Yeah, because then you're able to like I said, like your mentality changes. Instead of being in the corner somewhere and being afraid to show people who you are, when you're educated about yourself and you understand the things around you, then you can go and meet. Hey, how you doing? My name is Aldo. I'm a photographer from Dallas. To business owners or whoever, I would love to do portraits for your company or this and that, or whatever it is you do. You know, it never hurts because you never know who you're gonna meet. But if you're too afraid to even say hi, you completely block
Something
yourself.
clicked on my head right now because there's the term introvert, extrovert thing. I don't really feel like I believe it.
Yeah.
I feel more of the part that you haven't found yourself more of. That's the reason why you feel like you can't go talk to people if you so desire to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think like we all have a little bit of both, right? Like I feel like I can be an introvert. I like being alone and just being in my own energy.
Yeah.
When I create, when I edit photos or when I'm drawing, I love coloring and all that stuff. So like I don't want to be around people. It's my own energy. But I can also flip the switch, and if go to a networking thing or anywhere, like at the store, smile.
Right.
Hey, how are you doing? How's your day going? Because again, you never know, man. So many people I met, it's been because I just went up to them and say, hey, how you doing? My name is Aldo. I love your work. I would love for you to ask you some questions.
Yeah, that's true. I feel you on the alone part because I heard this guy said that if you're miserable alone, then you're in bad company. Meaning you have work that you say have to do for yourself to be okay with it. And once you get to that point, whenever you go out and about to present yourself to the public, then it opens up more opportunities. Not to mention, certain people say certain things that it's funny too how it is real, right? So closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
But for a long time, I heard it on songs, rap songs, or whatever the case might be. But it didn't make sense to me until like, okay, if you don't go out there and talk to people, especially if you're a business owner, then you're not gonna make any money. So you're not gonna get fed well.
No,
you know?
exactly, and that's very important for you to be able to to go out there and put yourself out there. You don't have to take everybody's energy. You know, you don't have to be around people that you don't. You know, if after you meet them, if you're like, okay, this person's not benefiting me, and not in the sense of using them, but like in the sense of like we can't collaborate in something together. It's always okay to step away from it. But when are you going to find that person that may change your life?
It's a numbers game too.
It is.
You can't. You're gonna meet a bunch of people, but there's only gonna be a handful of people that are gonna be within, let's say, your tribe that you are able to work and grow.
Yeah,
because it's not gonna be everybody.
I found like in photography, like I did that. Like I met people, I shook hands, you know, and everything, and then I have a very closely knit group now in photography that I can call them and say, hey man, how do we do this? Or you know, I feel like this, and this, and they'll tell me straight up. But it's because I met them, and I was, you know, we vibed, and we were able to build a very, very good friendship.
That's good. That's awesome to do that, and it would never happen if you didn't go out and talk to people.
Your net worth is connected to your network.
I hear that, and I hear that. Yeah, I can agree with that. But it's still accountable for oneself to be able to do the presenting, and then have yourself right of the things that you need to do.
Well, I mean, that's not the only thing, obviously, but it's a very important thing because you could be, like you said, you'll be the most talented photographer, host, or whatever, but you don't talk to anybody, so you're going to be the most talented photographer in your living room.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true that.
And then you look at people that you may turn around and say, I can do stuff just like that person. What does that person have that I don't? Nothing except they smile and say, hi, my name is.
They go and network. If you think of the people they're around, most likely they're pretty similar to what they do as far as if they are successful.
Having a smile, walking around with a smile is a big, big thing. The old lady doing
I need to work on that.
Doing the sushi at the thing. You're like, hey, how you doing? And she's like, oh, you like the sushi? I'm like, yeah. I like this one. And she's like, let me make you a fresh one. Ooh. You know, just like little things like that. Yeah. Just like smile changes it. I mean, I know a lot of times you just like RBF, right?
You know, I went the other day to a place near a vegan place, and the girl that was taking the orders. She was like serious as can be, you know. And I'm not always goofy or laughing, right? I need to work more on having a smile as I'm walking. Sometimes I'm in my head thinking of things that I need to do, then I don't realize that I'm just like not smiling. Yeah. But I looked at her, I walked to the counter, and I'm on an order to go. And she gives me like, it's for here to go. I'm like it's it's to go.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what you want? I'm like, no. So let me get the menu. And then I go through it, and I'm like, oh, I want this. Yeah. And then I told her, okay, is that all? And let me get some piece of chocolate because I like sweets. Yeah. And then as she was punching in my order, it's like, why are you so serious? And it's like, I'm just working. And then I'm like, it wasn't a rude, but it was. But I feel her frustration as far as working, right? Because sometimes I don't want to be working all the time. Yeah. So I kind of stopped for a second, and it didn't stop me from smiling. But I told her, "You're right. I mean, you can smile." I said that, but I felt weird when after I said it. You know what? You don't have to. You can do whatever you want to. That's cool. Yeah. And then later on, brought my order, and I kept smiling, and I can see a little grin whenever she was giving me an order. That she's like, because I was in a good space. Yeah. I mean, I could have gone the other way, and I could have taken her like, you're just being super rude or whatever, but I didn't.
And you could have gotten in a fight with her, and you didn't get the food you wanted. But I think
me just being that way and then smiling with her, and even though I didn't tell her to smile, but I took it back like, you know what, do what you want. It's cool.
Do your thing.
But at the same time, I felt like I seen the little grin, a little bit. I'm like, oh, maybe change her day for the day. Yeah. I hope she doesn't run into the wrong person. That it will be that person, you know, that matches that energy. But I was like, nah, it's not gonna be me. Yeah. But it's that smile that I think changed her mind a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Okay, so you were born in Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico, and you went to school there till you were in the 3rd grade. So you were probably about 8 or 9 years old, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Do you recall your journey to the U.S.?
Hopped in the car, and one day I got home from school, and my mom was like, hey, you know, nos vamos a ir para el otro lado. I was like, ¿el otro lado de qué? El otro lado de qué, right? And, you know, it was just pretty much, like, it felt like it was just like, we're leaving there's better stuff over there. And I was like, okay, but my friends are here, so I pretty much just grabbed my valuables at the moment, whatever, as a kid, whatever
your
toys.
action figures.
Yeah, my luchadores that you get at the mercado.
Oh, your luchadores. That's cool.
And pretty much hopped in the car and left. It was like quick, man. And we came over here, and it was really hard on me because I guess it was hard on my whole family, but me is just I didn't speak English, and
right.
Kids at that age are mean.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
So
where did y'all came to? Exactly?
So we came we first came to I don't remember, like Denton or Raleigh, North Carolina.
Gotcha.
And then eventually moved back to Dallas.
Okay, tell me about these mean kids, because I feel where you're coming
from. They would just talk real fast. I remember, and I understand. I thought they were cussing me out, so I just cussed at them because that's the first thing you learn when you speak another language. And I didn't even know if they were actually fighting or not.
Really?
Yeah, but there was some, like, after a while, like, you vibe like, oh, okay, they're not being mean, and I don't even know how I communicated with them.
Yeah.
But like, even like in school, like, once I did start speaking English, there was kids that was mean when you speak with an accent. So on my way walking home, I would repeat the words to sound like the teacher because I had white teachers because the Spanish teachers were too packed. So they put me in like the regular class.
So they didn't even put you in ESL?
Nah, it was
For
packed.
real?
Yeah, it was too many kids. So
serious?
they're like, we're going to throw you with the white teacher.
Yeah.
Which, I think it worked out after a while. I would cry every night because I didn't know what I was doing.
So you would cry because
I didn't understand.
You weren't doing nothing, period. You just there, just kind of like looking at their lips.
Yeah, actually, honestly, it's something that it was like a blessing over time, but in the moment it sucked. It sucked bad. My stomach would hurt every morning. I'd throw up because it was like...
You get anxiety because you were going to, where you were going to go
like
to.
the smell of classroom was like, it was like traumatizing.
Yeah.
It was ugly. But like I would go home and I knew I had to do homework.
Yeah.
And I knew the page because I knew the page, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I would just draw the page from the textbook. Whatever it looked like on the textbook, I would just draw it on my paper. Just so that they knew, like, hey, look, I tried.
So when was it that it started? Like, how many years after you got here that it started kind of sort of clicking as far as English?
Like English?
Yeah.
Probably, so it's third, I'm going to say 5th grade.
5th grade?
Yeah. 5th grade, they moved me back into ESL. There was room. So 3rd grade was like that. 4th grade, I also had like a white teacher.
Really?
But I started like kind of understanding a little better. And what helped me out, man, I'd go home and watch TV and cartoons, but they were in English. So I just like, after a while, like in my head, like I started thinking in English. It was weird. I could tell when I was learning it because instead of thinking in Spanish, I started thinking in English.
Yep.
And by 5th grade, when they moved me actually back into ESL, I was fluent in English. And like I said, in 3rd and 4th grade, they would make fun of the kids that didn't really speak English.
Yeah.
Or like spoke with an accent. So I made sure that I spoke it how my teacher spoke it.
I feel you on that because I got here when I was in 4th grade, so I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
And the same things happened. But fortunately, I had somebody that helped me out. Shout out to Magali. She later on became my sister's in-laws and later ex. But anyways, that's irrelevant. She helped me out. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know anything either.
Yeah.
I was like English, but I had ESL.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how tough it would have been. But then within ESL, the same kids that had migrated in a few years, they were already here.
Yeah.
They knew more. They'll make fun of me because I couldn't say this word. I'm like cat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and I couldn't say the freaking word. And you get into it. And then, of course, you have to keep pushing. And then the same thing you were saying earlier about the fighting, like, because once the ones that were born here, that will make fun of you because you weren't able to speak properly. So I did the same thing. I got in a few fights.
Exactly. I did get in a couple fights for that too. But once I got a little older, but it was just like proof like I need to be better.
Yeah.
But I think going back to it, like not being able to understand what people were saying, but actually seeing them like understand their emotion. You know, the communication is only like 30% like verbal.
More.
So it made me understand movements, gestures, and things like that. So I think now I'm able to read people a little better and understand situations better.
Got you.
Because I had to evolve like the way I saw things. You know, instead of just being taught, you have to do this, you have to do this. So I always figured my own way how to do things. Because I would read the paragraphs in Spanish because sometimes English words, when you write them down, they're similar to Spanish. So that's how I understood certain things.
So that helped you kind of adapt now later on in life to help you figure body language.
And like even when I look at pictures, I understand which way the light goes and why they put the light here and things like that. Like I'm able to visualize things because I'm able to see the scene. You know what I'm saying? Like I like that. It's something that I feel is because of that. And I didn't have friends until I was in 5th grade.
I mean, but I'm saying it's pretty cool though that you're able to channel that part that it was not very comfortable to now using it to your advantage.
Now it makes me money.
You know, that's freaking dope. Now the other thing you were saying earlier that clicked on me too is the thinking in English.
Yeah.
So the first time I caught myself knowing that I knew English for sure, is when I was doing something and then I started thinking in English and I even stopped. I'm like, what the fuck?
What? Yeah.
And what is going on? And then I realized, like, oh shoot, I'm thinking in English.
And you're like, what the hell?
Well, my native tongue is Spanish. I always thought in Spanish, not till now. Like,
so
English.
So I don't know if you have this, but like for example, because I learned like reading and all that stuff and like critical thinking in class, like in growing up.
Yeah.
So when even like now I know how to I knew how to read it in Spanish already when I came over here, but now when I'm reading stuff in Spanish or when somebody's telling me something in Spanish, I translate it in my head in English so I can really understand what they're saying. But when it's in math, it's the other way. They tell me things in English, and I have to, because I already knew how to count and do all that in Spanish. So I translate it in my head to Spanish, and then I regurgitate it back in English. But it happens like instantly.
I'm pretty sure I've done that before. Never caught myself actually doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't doubt because we have to adapt differently than other people that only speak one language.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. Did your parents ever tell you the reason why just suddenly they got out and left?
They said they wanted us to have better opportunities. So
your parents were well off. Your dad owned a shop.
Yeah, my dad had a mechanic shop.
And your mom was...
She ran, like, so we had a big house. Well, it was like, in Mexico, they don't have, like, separated structures. Like, one structure could be, like, 3 houses, right?
Gotcha.
Because they're even, like, smaller than here. So we owned, like, a whole corner building. And it was, like, 4 apartments with rooms and everything. And my mom, she ran that and obviously took care of us. And my dad has a shop in that building on the side. There was, like, a big area for a shop.
Yeah.
But... I guess I guess the economy, the way it was going there, and things that they were in Monterrey at that time. There was a lot of gangs too, and my brother was kind of like
he was getting to that age.
He's short triggered, so he was getting into problems. They just saw like a lot of things that they didn't like, so they wanted us to have a better future, and they were like, man, let's go. I guess let's go over there and see what we can do.
So explain to me how y'all came, because for me, I had to cross illegally. Like I had to literally be. They drove us to the border.
Yeah.
They turned us into this lady, which the lady had us cross under a fence,
cross
the river,
to me. Yeah,
go under the fence, run into a Whataburger, make sure the immigration is not coming to get us, and then go into a hotel. I remember everything. I remember the first, like, taking us to the hotel, waiting right there. Nothing happened. We're kids, 11 years old, just trying to, like, it's almost like an adventure. Yeah. And then I remember her, for the first time I ever tried pizza, it was the most horrible freaking thing I ever tasted in my life.
Really?
Little Caesars is what I had. And
that was the first time you ever had pizza?
I ever had pizza in my entire life. Now, and then first time ever taking a shower on a freaking shower.
In English?
In a shower.
Yeah.
In an American shower. Not even in Mexico, we didn't have showers where I come from.
Yeah.
Like whenever I say I don't come from nothing, like people think that I'm just exaggerating, and people say that all the time. That's why sometimes I question people, like, well, you come from nothing, but what do you really mean? Yeah. I had no showers. I had an outhouse too.
Right.
I had to go out in the middle and do my business and shower with a jicara. and then that's how we took showers.
Oh wow.
And then sometimes we didn't even shower. It took maybe 2 or 3 days without shower, maybe once a week in the shower, and that was just
Really?
common, straight up
Wow.
common stuff that we used to have to do.
Yeah. No. Well.
So-
yeah. Where I'm from, like Monterrey, we
Yeah.
have showers. It's like it's a city.
Now where I'm
it's
from-
basically here, just a little dirtier.
And my house was two rooms.
Really?
Made out of our first house we had. It was made out of sticks. It
Yeah.
looked like sticks. It burned down.
Oh wow.
Luckily, we got out. And then the second house my dad built was made out of brick, but it
Yeah.
was 2 rooms.
Oh.
And that's all we had. And so whenever I say people that don't come from nothing, like I really
Yeah.
came from nothing. So I remember the whole entire thing because I never had pizza.
No, well, see, like we didn't do that. We
Yeah.
had visas. We had tourist visas because
So
my
you
dad
had
had
visas.
my dad had a business. He had, when you apply to get a tourist visa, they check, make sure that you have attachments, like
Yeah.
reasons to go back.
Yeah.
Like you're actually just gonna come visit. So we had, we crossed it like we're tourists. Like, oh yeah, we're just gonna come to San Antonio.
We
and
just come and visit a
we're
couple
gonna
of sites.
go
We'll be
shopping,
right back.
and then we just kept driving.
Never
Never
came
came
back.
back. I mean, I kept going back until my visa expired.
Yeah. But some people don't understand that, like, your story is different from mine because my dad didn't have a business, barely was
Yeah.
able to make it. So he needed to go another route for us to get. We're legal now. I'm a citizen now. So
Me too.
Don't try to. You want to send immigration? You can
Immigration
come
go wait
and we
outside.
can have a great conversation. I
We
can use
will.
my "I'm an American" line that I've been
Right.
waiting to say forever and a day.
friggin' American.
And I'm a veteran too. So anytime y'all want to send it, I'll be more than happy to. But yeah, it wasn't that like for me, and my dad had to do what he had to do to
It's
to
tough,
bring us
man.
over.
It's tough.
But it's crazy because there's other people that the
Yeah.
same thing, and even getting a visa is not easy because
No.
you have to show that you have a business,
Yeah.
that you're are going to be able to go back, and you're just able to like just get up and leave and never go back to Mexico,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you have to do that too.
Exactly. So, but coming like, cause we did like we'd visited before. I remember when I was younger, we visited, but coming here and like, okay, this is where you live. It's scary because it's different. Like now you got to get into like you got to go to school
Yeah.
and you got to do the things that you're used to in Mexico. You got to do it here, and it's completely different.
It is.
Completely different.
Oh, it's freaking. If you're an immigrant and you were brought to the U.S. and then all of a sudden you started going to school, you know what we talking about because it's not.
But like
the
even
same
now,
thing.
like the kids now, I don't think they're the same as when we were coming. I think now it's way more accepted. There's way more Latinos. Spanish is more everywhere now. Like we're the majority here in Texas.
When I got here, my dad needed us to learn English fast because we needed to go interpret for him.
Oh yeah, like those memes where the
Yeah.
kid's standing there and you're having to translate doctor language, and you
Those are
don't
real.
even. That's
It's based
that
off of
was
real stuff.
my whole childhood.
Yeah.
And so you had to learn, like you have to like live in two worlds.
But you're right about
and
the acceptance.
you're the gap in those two worlds.
Yeah, but you're right about the acceptance because the other day I walked into the Michoacana, one of the Michoacanas.
Yeah.
The lady and the cashier did not know English, bro.
Yeah.
There was an American lady that walked in and asked her for a question, and the girl was like,
They don't know.
They don't know.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
She might have not liked it, but she asked her for some topo chicos or something, and she,
Yeah.
the girl's like, no sé.
No
Said,
sé.
oh, you don't
Oh,
know?
wow.
Like, and she left.
Yeah.
But it's trippy to me that before the kids trying to learn English would have to be over there try to ask those questions to the American cashiers or everywhere.
You had to order the food for your family. You had to, when you went to the doctor, if your parents ever got pulled over to the cops, you had to translate.
Yeah.
Everything.
Tell me a
Parent-teacher conference. No, he's failing, blah, blah. Dice que estoy haciendo muy bien, mamá, que excelente
You can't
trabajo.
guarantee that we're gonna do a good job as a kid.
That was me.
That was funny.
That was me.
okay. Tell me one of your proud moments where you felt like knowing English was like, damn, I'm making my way. Like I really feel proud that I'm learning English.
When I started using words that even kids that grew up here didn't understand.
Really?
Because I like reading and I like and actually like some of the words in Spanish is something that we use all the time. But if you say that word, I don't know, I can't think of the word of any words like that. But when you
like
use
communication,
like comunicación, right? For example.
you just gotta give it an accent. to
Yeah,
it.
and you use it because you say it in Spanish,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're like, "Ooh, well, I don't know all those big words," and I'm like, "Oh, and this is your first language. This is my second language."
Okay.
So that's when I was like, Yeah.
Yeah, what's up? Mine is even funnier though. My proudest moment is one of my tios because we lived in a house with a bunch of family members. Is my tio wanted me to order pizza because he figured we knew enough English.
Yeah.
So we had to go to a payphone. I gave him my age away. We had to go to a payphone, call Domino's, and have them bring the pizza. So we're 30 minutes past and there's no freaking pizza. So we're standing outside on the little porch. Next thing you know, I see the freaking the pizza delivery guy with the sign, but he was across the street.
Oh.
So I'm like, damn, what happened? So I run over there. Chase him down and tell him like, hey, we ordered a pizza. This is y'all? Like, yeah, we're right here.
What is payphones though?
Payphone?
I'm just playing.
Quarters.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
bro, I felt so good. I was able to order pizza through
Yeah.
the phone, and it got to my house.
I used to order, like, when I started learning English, I watched TV so much, I would say stuff that they say on TV you don't normally say. You know, like, yeah, let me get a large pepperoni pizza, hold the anchovies. Because I would watch Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Later, I found out it was fish.
It's freaking fish. You know, it took me forever to know that.
Yeah. I worked
Years.
at Papa John's for 2 weeks, and that's where I found out that they actually do have them.
I worked at Cece's Pizza.
There you go.
Whenever I figured out the anchovies were this disgusting little fishes that I never had.
Yep.
Those things were horrible. Okay, so as a kid, you wanted to be an actor. If you actually even went to school at Brookhaven for a year and a half and took theater and even started lead in 3 plays.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Where did the idea of wanting to be an actor came from? You still want to be an actor. Let's not forget that.
I'm still scheming, masterminding my way into Hollywood.
Absolutely.
It was just like the fact that you can go, like, when I was at home, things were a certain way.
Yeah.
And then I can go outside and be anybody I wanted to be. And I don't mean like it's in the sense of being fake, but it started off as guarding myself. Like, I didn't show emotion. I was just like, oh man, you're real laid back. You're cool. And it was really because I was scared to show people who I really was. And then it was also because I, again, watched a lot of cartoons and video games and I played. And I remember like how cool it is to just get into like something like, like when you're younger, when you're little, you're playing like the little carton from the napkins, it becomes a sword.
Yep.
And it's actually a sword. Like, and that's cool. Like being able to just be and changing your world to what you want it to be, creating the character.
Yeah.
I always thought it was super cool.
Hello, quickly jumping in to let you know, we know that you are enjoying the episode. Hit the subscription, hit the bell, and again, right back to our programming. Thank you very much.
And like I used to watch like the novelas. I was like, that's grown people, because my mom had novelas all the time, right? I was like, that's grown people doing retarded stuff, I mean, not retarded, but it's funny because they're very, very, very exaggerated. Yeah. And they're making money. Like, I mean, when I was young, I didn't care about the money, but it was cool that they could just do. And then later you see them in the interviews, like when they're getting interviewed, and they're like this whole cool other person. That's just their character. And I was like, man, that's awesome that they can just tap into that and just be. Yeah. I think that's what attracted me to it.
So that's what kind of sort of like you were able to create your own characters. So who were you that you didn't want them to see specifically?
Mexican immigrant. I didn't want people to know. I mean, obviously you could tell, right? But if I stayed quiet, they didn't know if I was Chicano or not, right? So
because they didn't hear your accent,
they didn't hear my accent, and so I was just always really guarded. And once I learned English, I hardly spoke Spanish outside of my house. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Because of my education up to that point, I didn't know where I came from because I left when I was young.
Yeah, a lot of us grow up with identity crisis during this times because, like that Selena scene with her dad is so freaking. Even the people that are not American or born here resonates with a lot of people because even as an immigrant, you have to play those parts too. Yeah. You have to be more American than the Americans. Clear your accent, work and speak well, and then the Mexicans don't let you forget that you're Mexican. So remember. Speak Spanish well and learn the things, the music and everything. Because if you don't, then all of a sudden they start seeing you kind of funny too. Yeah. So you have to walk a fine line.
Because like now, even like when I go back to Monterrey, sometimes they're like, "Andale, gringo," and I'm like, "What?" Like you see that either way. So, but I mean, again, I've learned it doesn't bother me anymore. I don't care, you know, because again, now that I know where I came from and what I can be, and as you get older, and also I think one of the biggest things that played a part into me being able to evolve into somebody that knows and is proud of who they are, is my communication with my mom and my dad too. But he's always mostly working.
Got you.
But when I was younger, my mom would talk to me about anything that I had a question. She wasn't afraid to discuss it with me, even if she didn't know the answer. Because there was plenty of times when she was like, I don't know what the hell. I don't know how to answer that. Let me get back to you because I don't know. And like, sometimes she would go to the school council. She told me later, she like go to the school council, like, he's asking me this. How am I supposed to answer this? But it was cool because she respected my opinion and she gave me advice as an equal, like as a human.
That's nice.
She never looked down on me.
That's awesome because some parents might be like, you know, say, and that's it.
Yeah.
Instead of going to find an answer.
Yeah, and I think also because I learned a lot of things from her because she also loved reading books. So that's one thing she would say, oh, it's good. You know, she would tell me certain things. I'm like, how do you even know that? She's like, well, I read a book and it said it in there. Like she always wanted to go to San Francisco, to the Golden Gate Bridge, because she would read about it in those little novela things, like the books and the romance novels. That's what they're called, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, like romance is like in San Francisco, the Golden Gate. And I'm like, what? Now, like a couple of years ago, I was able to take her to San Francisco.
How was she?
She loved it.
Really?
She loved it. To Vegas too. Like I've been able to show her the things that she read about.
Yeah.
But I, you know, in turn, because she talked to me about things like that she read.
So now you see why you like to read?
Oh yeah. You can live 1,000 lives in a book. And it teaches you a lot because those things is the way that we pass knowledge on. No matter how stupid it is, you think it is, read a book, read anything. One thing she told me when I was growing up, read everything. Every sign you pass, everything, read it. I was like, for what? But it makes sense. People don't read.
They don't read.
And you miss out on a lot. Like, and I'm talking about just general stuff. Like, you're reading the recipe and you don't read it, and you miss that one thing that's going to kick it up a notch anything.
Throw off the recipe. Yeah, you're right.
And unfortunately, that's how a lot of times we get scammed. Latinos get scammed.
Don't read the fine print or don't read the everything. That's pretty cool. But earlier memories of you wanting to be an actor, do you recall anything else besides the, well, I know you said the novelas in here, kind of like a defense mechanism kind of the show. But, any
like things that like inspire me, like I want to. When I watched the Superman movies. With Christopher Reeve, the guy that broke his neck. Yeah. And then the Batman movies. I was like, oh, they're getting like they made a movie like they get to wear the costume and everything. So I was like, I want to do that.
You want to do that?
That's cool. Yeah.
See, when the novelas for me, maybe more recently, I started thinking about them. For me, I couldn't really relate to the actors because none of the actors look anything like myself except for the workers.
True.
But and then sometimes I'll be mad because some of the patrones will be trying to abuse the workers, and it always make me feel funny. Yeah. Like, I wish you would put a hand on me, bro. I wish you would. Like, you know?
Yeah.
But as far as the main characters and stuff, they're more European looking, taller, handsome.
Yep.
And I mean, I was still young, but I wasn't their color or their tone, you know?
Yeah. So and that's true. I mean, when you look at it, a certain, like, you want to be that, but you're like, can I really do that? Because nobody there looks like me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the Namor movie. Yeah. I love that movie. Like,
De Noche Huerta, Namor, they giving him such a hard, or some individuals, not everybody. There's a few individuals because he looks the way he does.
Yeah.
They're giving him a hard time as a Mexican actor. But he has all the accolades. He has over 200 movies that he's done. And there's a few selective Mexicanas that are lighter skin tone, which is sad, that we're proud of tequila, we're proud of mariachis. And this man, that is one of the biggest Marvel movies there is, that's probably going to have his own series. We can give him credit for the work that he's done, not only in the Black Panther movie, but in the other movies he's done, because he's done a lot of the work.
He does. That dude is badass.
He's bad.
He's a good person.
He's like, a bad
even
dude.
Above like his accolades, he's a good person.
Yeah.
And I like in the beginning, I was like, well, why does it matter, right? Like at first. But I'm like, no, that's cool that he's taking it upon himself to speak for the actors that may not get those chances. Because I've been there, like, not as an actor, but like as a person where you're like, you don't get picked for something. You're like, I know I could do it. Why not give me a chance? And so he's speaking for those people that haven't gotten their chance yet. So he's opening up doors.
Not to mention
Not
that,
opening,
but
he's kicking doors down, really.
he is kicking doors down. Not to mention he's just not saying it just to say it, that he feels that way.
Yeah.
These are the statistics of the work that Prietos or darker skinned Mexicanos get compared to the ones that are not. Like, I'm not making it up, guys. This is what he was like. That's what he was saying. That this is what that statistics. I'm not saying it just to say it. Like, look at it. Look at the difference.
Yep.
It's clearly there. Like, I'm not saying anything that y'all know about it.
We want people to appreciate our culture. We got to clean out our own house too.
I mean,
you know, we got to. You want people to appreciate what you do and give you opportunities. We got to do the same thing.
I really feel like that a lot of people were triggered from the last guy that was in the president. I don't even remember his name. But anyways, that guy said certain things that people felt that it was kind of racist. But at the same time, like, Mexicanos have a tendency of having that same thing. Like, whenever he said that, I didn't feel offended. I'm like, you're a weirdo. But if you are feeling a certain way about the way that you manage your life, that you're there too sometimes, that you have those tendencies, then if anybody was going to be telling you or being racist towards you, then you're going to know and you're going to react.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. We have to clean our own house. I'm not saying anything that is not said before, or that like anybody listening personally, or maybe yourself, know that happens.
Oh, that happens.
That within our Latino community, Mexicano community, we tend to be or have be somewhat racist. Say some things that don't belong to like in our society to be said, and you still say it, and we still act a certain way to certain people. So, you're right. We got to clean ourselves up in order for us not to feel a certain way. Yeah. So you are still planning to pursue the acting? You're this is
it's
still
a mastermind plan still to get there.
Anything you can share?
The brain.
Anything you can share with us about the mastermind plan yet, or not yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Just like Mandy, don't want to share nothing. So, okay, that's pretty cool. So the first time you ever touched a professional camera, that was Joe Arena of Texas Lowrider Magazine. He told you, like, y'all were on set, and he told you go snap some pictures. And you said that you sucked, and
Bad.
this is something that you mentioned in Amps magazine. However, you kept going, right? So about 27, 28 years old, you decided to go ahead and take it on and become a photographer. Can you tell me that story?
Yeah. So I always used to go. Well, I used to go with Mandy to the shoots because it was cool, like there's hot chicks, cool cars, So I would
Perfect combo for a minute.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And a lot of times I would tell Joe, I was like, hey man, whatever you need, I'll help you out. I mean, I didn't want to just be standing there.
Yeah. You want to be useful.
Hold this real quick. Yeah, I had 2 cameras, and then I was just standing there like watching him do his magic because he's really good. Like he's good at what he does, right? And so like I was watching him. He's like, man, shoot some pictures. Don't worry about it. I was like, all right, cool. And they sucked. And it wasn't just me that thought that. Like, I would tell Mandy, hey, let's go shoot this car. And they would come back. She's like, I don't like them. They're bad. I'm like, oh, okay.
Was that the exact words she said? Or was it different kind of words?
They suck.
They suck.
Yeah. She sweetened up over time,
But did that hurt your feelings at that time?
It did, but then she was like, let's go shoot more.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I don't want to. Like, I suck. And she's like, no, come on, let's shoot more. And then finally, if I got one okay one, then it was cool. Because she was kind of a little bit mean sometimes, but not mean. She was very brutally honest, and she didn't care how she said it, right?
But she didn't discourage you to stop doing it.
No, she didn't. She's like, just keep doing. Like, just eventually you're gonna suck less. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Makes sense,
yeah. But and once I decided to like really take it serious and understand what does it take to take a good portrait, a good picture, then things started clicking. And because I work with her, she's really easy to photograph when you're taking pictures.
Right.
So but she would tell me like, all right, well, communicate with me. She still tells me that sometimes. She's like, communicate with me. Tell me what I need to do. But it's easy with her because she could just do certain things, like pose a certain way, and it looks good. So I would sit there and be quiet. And, like things like that showed me that I need to communicate who I'm taking the picture with.
Gotcha.
And I get that now. I'm, models or whoever I'm shooting, they're like, man, I love that you give me direction, because a lot of photographers just say, all right, go. Right?
Like, go where?
Yeah, exactly.
Do it.
So it went from like really hurting my feelings, but it was actually brutal honesty so I could get better and build the blocks to be able to actually build a business and be comfortable to shoot and know that I'm going to take a good picture. Like, no matter where I go, no matter the light, I can take a picture. But it took training. I mean, it wasn't just me shooting bad pictures, It was me shooting bad pictures and accepting that I shot bad pictures, but looking for how do I take a better picture?
Yeah.
But
you had a heartbreak during that time. Not a heartbreak, it's like romantic, but you had shown somebody a picture.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. So it was like my best friend. I took, when we were in Houston, and I did this badass picture that I thought was badass, and I loaded it to my computer, and I edited it, and, I messed with the settings and everything. I was like, it's amazing. And I posted it. I knew it was going to go viral.
You were excited.
Yeah. And then one day I was hanging out with some friends, and I was proud of it, so I showed my friend. I was like, check out this picture. Badass, right? And he looks at it for a little bit. He hands me my phone. I was like, I could have done that with my iPhone.
Straight up.
That hit me right here. It hit me in my heart and my ego, because at that point, people were like, oh, yeah, your picture's pretty good. So, it went from bad for like somebody telling me pretty good, and somebody that's not in the industry, just regular person's like, oh, yeah, I could have done that with my iPhone. And then I went home and I looked at it like, damn, you can do this with an iPhone. So I got, I was like, I put my camera down. I'm not going to do this anymore.
How long of a break you took?
It was probably like a good, I would say almost like a year. Yeah. That I was just like, I didn't care to shoot. I was like done. Like, I'd go to shoots, but I didn't care to shoot like if somebody else was shooting or nothing like that.
What reignited you just getting better?
My job. I was, one day I was super frustrated and annoyed, and I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to write down what I want out of life, right? My ultimate goal is to be happy. What's going to get me there? So I wrote down, okay, what do you want to do, like, to make money? Whatever it was, like, even if it was a heart surgeon, a psychologist, whatever. Didn't matter that, like, whatever. I was going to start from zero. And then I was, like, traveling, getting paid to travel, creating art, like that. So I just kept going down the list. And I sat down, like, okay, what can I do? And it was like, oh, I could be a wedding photographer, a destination wedding photographer, to travel to cool places, make art, taking somebody's picture, their best day of their life, until they get divorced.
So is that why you think it's important to set goals? Because that was one of the other questions.
Yes, setting goals, it illuminates your path to knowing knowing where you want to go. Because if you don't have goals, then you'll never get anywhere. You'll get somewhere and it's kind of like the wind or the whatever the current takes you. Oh, okay, here. Oh, okay, here. But when you have goals, it illuminates your path. It tells you, okay, I'm not gonna go out today. I'm gonna stay in and study because my goal is to do this. Or okay, I'm gonna wake up early because my goal is to do this. So it really like it allows you to be able to structure your life to be happy because you're doing things to meet your goals.
So in other words, setting goals, instead of you being let's say you're some kind of ship in the ocean and just floating around with no direction. That's what happens whenever you set goals if you're trying to pursue something.
Yep.
Once you set goals, then that gives you the direction, the map, the guidance of where you need to go to get to the destination. Otherwise, you'll be flowing forever in the water, probably shipwrecking, and you won't get to where you need to be.
Earl Nightingale says that, like, if a ship with a crew and a destination will get to its destination 97% of the time.
Yeah, except for the Titanic. We know what happened with that.
That's the 3%.
That's a 3%.
But a ship with no crew,
Yep.
leave it out to sea,
We'll
it's
never.
gonna end up shipwrecked.
Yep. We'll never get
That's
there.
you. That's your life. You're a ship. You're gonna pick a destination and go. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Because even when you get there and you're like, I didn't really care for this. Well, if you never got there, you never would have figured out that you didn't want that.
That's true. All right. So once you set your goals and you got frustrated from the job, you started setting goals of what you want to do. You had in mind you're going to be a wedding destination photographer, and where to go from there.
So from there, I started searching the internet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what pictures do I like? Like, which pictures are your screensaver type of pictures? And no matter what once I found those pictures, like, okay, who takes these pictures? Then I started researching and looking for people and how do they do this and what equipment do I need and to create this. And so slowly but surely I started finding people like, photographers that I started looking up to.
So I have a few that you actually got influenced by. You have Joel Grimes, which is a commercial photographer for over 30 years. Roberto Valenzuela, award-winning Canon U.S. sponsored photographer and author of photography book. Lindsay Adler, fashion and beauty photographer. Vanessa Joy, award-winning international recognized wedding photographer as well. And then you're with those that you study. You also are part of some kind of a professional photography crew.
So I'm part of PPAs for Professional Photographers of America. Then there's a Texas PPA, and then there's a Dallas PPA.
Gotcha.
So it's like like city, state, national.
And you took some of their courses actually.
I actually this past weekend I was in Nashville, and there was like a big convention.
You were in Nashville?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
nice.
I saw Lindsay again, Vanessa, and Roberto. I was again there watching how they work and picking their brains and, shaking their hand. Hey, how are you doing, Lindsay? My name is Aldo. I love your work. Let me ask you this. How do you do this? And for the most part, they're like, oh, no, this, because they didn't
go like, here's my book, buy it.
No.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they like, and that, again, is that smile and like, hey, how are you doing? And I mean, it's learning from these people that helps you craft, learn your craft. But then also, like, I've had people ask me, hey, man, how do you do that? And that makes me excited, So it's just like a whole cycle. It puts you in the path that you want. Learning from them and looking at their work is like, oh, that's things that I didn't even think was possible for me to create.
Yeah.
Because you always, I don't know, like you always see like the background picture on your PC, and it's like it looks perfect.
Yeah, it looks perfect.
And they do that kind of stuff. Well, to me, right? Everybody has their own style or whatever, but it's like, and they've helped me create images like that. It's like, this is how you do it. Learn it directly from them, and it's like.
And we got some examples. Like you have this one right here. That you shot, Mandy Red. You made it into what is it? A canvas?
This right here, it's on a metal print.
Oh, nice.
This is the Ninja. I love like anime and stuff like that, so it's inspired by that. This is her alter ego,
the Ninja. And then you name them because if you're gonna, cause there's competitions for photographers, right?
Yeah,
you have to name the
print
picture.
competitions. Yeah, well, I call it the Ninja. She calls it her warrior or something. She has her name. I have my name. Right. It's like,
then there's
that's the cover of the magazine. It's also like I printed. I love printing like on metal. I like the texture, the shine, especially like printing cars and stuff like that.
Gives you the vintage type of look. If ever 30, 50, 100 years would still look really cool.
Yeah,
to find it.
Yeah, because like a paint job.
Yeah,
it's like lowriders, right? Yeah. Like they apply. It's the same. Well, it's not the same process, but it's the same look.
Are you one of the only ones that does this? Prints it like that?
No, I mean, that I know, like I know there's some people that do it. Like it's available, but most people like printing like canvases or like luster, which is like paper. But to me, this costs more, but it's to me like it calls my name, like
not only that, but it will last longer too. I feel like it will last a long time.
And then like I also did like this one. We shot this one in New Mexico. No, wait,
and that's
Phoenix. I'm sorry,
Miss Bad Bone and Mandy Red.
Mandy. And that car is from one of Dallas Lowriders.
Yeah.
And this is a canvas, and I painted digitally painted this, and it's on a canvas because I wanted to give it more like a old school, like natural, like a painted.
It looks beautiful. And there's another one that was shot in
that
the
one, yeah,
sand.
that's a portrait session that we did in White Sands, New Mexico.
Nice.
We drove 10 hours to get those images, and
10 hours still solid to drive. More than that, I'll probably have to
I
stop.
did it like Saturday, then shot Sunday, and then drove Sunday night, and then got back to work Monday morning.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Okay, so when did you decide to form the Aldo Emmanuel Images? Is that around the same time, or how do you remember?
Yeah, that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go in 100%. All right, so how am I gonna do it? And I, just thought of. I'm the name thing. I think of names.
Yeah,
like Mandy Red or Eratik ENT.
Oh, so tell me about that. So were you the one that came up with the name Mandy Red?
Yeah.
And why is that? Well, of course, from the interview we did with her, her name's Amanda, her first name. But where did the incorporating the red come from?
Her hair.
At that time.
Yeah. Like I wrote out a list, like kind of like how I did. I was like, let's write this list because there's
how many names? Can you remember some of the names I went through?
It was like Mandy Rouge. It was like, oh, it's French. And it was like, after a while, it's kind of like corny, I think.
Did she have any French?
No, she didn't care for that one. She's like, no, that's dumb.
What other one?
I think that was like the one that I like. That was my two favorite ones. I think that was Amanda R. because her name was Red. So,
her last name might have started with an R.
Maybe or maybe not.
Or Red.
Or her last name maybe Red. Mm-hmm. You can change your last name too. Anyways.
$1,000 plus.
Yeah.
Change your last name.
Yeah, I don't remember like a lot, but I do remember Mandy Red was one. And then I remember she said, it was like, well, what about, am I always going to have red hair? I was like, no, pink. Literally has pink hair. And then she changed her hair and her name is still Pink. Now she can wear pink accents or pink accessories or something. Yeah. Now you can incorporate it one way or another. It doesn't have to be your hair.
True.
So she was like, all right, cool. Mandy Red. And then she took it from there.
Okay. So when did you meet Mandy? How long
I met
ago
Mandy her senior year when she was graduating high school. I was photobombed her family pictures.
Really?
Yeah. I think I did it on purpose. I don't remember. But
so you were at her graduation?
I was at her graduation. We had a mutual friend.
That's cool.
And he introduced me to her. He's like, hey, this is my friend. And I almost said it again. And this is my friend, blah, blah, blah. She's having a graduation party at her house. She invited us to go.
I didn't get no invite, Mandy Red.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
And then?
Well, she was just plain old Mandy back then.
Not even Mandy.
Not even. And so, it was cool. Like, I showed up to her house. Well, we did. We pulled up. And, like, on her interview, she talked about her brother that inspired her. Yes. I actually got to meet him.
That's dope.
And one of the cool things with him was he wasn't jamming gangster stuff. He was I remember they had the grill out front, and her dad was cooking out, and he was right there chilling with his dad, and the girls were like her and her mom were, and her sisters were inside, but they were jamming oldies, like lowrider oldies. And I was like, damn, that's cool. That's different because he looked like a cholo, like how you would think. He had the lokes, but he was real cool.
The Dickies.
Yeah, the Dickies and the wife beater.
Yeah.
And, we came in and I was like, man, this dude is a thug, but nah, he was cool. He's like, hey, what's up, man? Nice to meet you,
Yeah.
And
we all judge. We all do the eye test. We always do until we get the feeling of a person. And it's like, I don't think it's a bad thing because we just do it naturally.
Yeah, he was dope, man. He was cool. Yeah. Like, I mean, I didn't get to meet him like a lot, but I'm grateful that I got to meet him.
That's dope. That's dope.
And then we hung out for a while there. And so when she told me later, like, that she wanted to do lowriding, modeling, and she wanted to do it for her brother, like, man, let's do it. I'm down.
That's dope.
I'm down. Let's go all the way to you shoot a cover of a magazine. She's like, all right, let's do it. And luckily, I got to shoot it.
There it is.
Because the photographer booked double, and he was in Vegas.
So that was by a chance that you were not. You went with her to shoot that, but the photographer.
That was the universe. There's no such thing as chance.
Yeah.
But at the
end of the day, y'all made something come true.
Yeah, because I wasn't even supposed to shoot anything, but I brought my camera anyways.
Gotcha.
Right, and went on our way, literally on our way to the studio. The editor of the magazine calls the studio. He's like, "Hey, we're on our way. I got the model with me. We're ready. We got the car. He's already there. He's getting it ready." And then he's like, "Bro, I'm in Vegas. I'm shooting in Vegas, and this is in LA." And then
3 hours away, 2 hours.
Well, yeah, but he was shooting already, so he couldn't leave.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "You want to shoot it?" Yeah, he looks at me like, "You want to shoot it?" I was like, "Fuck yeah."
Yeah.
He's like, Can you do it?" I was like, "Yes, I can do it." He was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, cool." And he's like, "All right, click." And then we showed up and we shot it, and they liked them.
It was beautiful. The car is beautiful. The whole everything's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's freaking.
That was
badass.
one of my favorite.
It is
because
gorgeous.
we what was cool is like we started when we started. We started with Joe, and then after we started going to show ourselves small shows, like hot 110 degrees, just walking in heels, sweaty, and I got my little starter camera thinking I was cool, and we're shooting these cars, and then a lot of times we leave and we're sunburnt, we're hot, we didn't do it for money because it was just something we wanted to. That was the goal, and we're like, we got to go and do it to get there. Right, because like I said, you set your goal, and then when we got there, and it was cool. Cause we got flown out, everything. They took care of us at everything, and to be able to get to that goal is it's cool.
I think what you said earlier makes a lot of sense as far as the goal part, but the other part too is that once you set that, it's not magic, right? But things started moving your direction as far as whether you want to say that the universe, whatever it might be, things start adjusting towards whatever you want it to be, and things start happening. This is not like magic, and I'm not saying that it's like witchcraft or whatever, but once you write it down and put it, and you started moving and working it, like checking off a couple things, and then before you know it,
the magic in it is to write it down.
Yeah.
Because you could put it in your head like, oh, yeah, that's my goal. But it's just like, it's there. It goes away. You forget about it and it's gone. Imagine when you write it down and you put it somewhere where you can see it, and then the universe reads it and it conspires to help you.
Yeah. And then I think that's the thing that you were saying about the simulation. I don't know if it got anything to do with it, but it becomes part of your subconscious to push you to become and have the things that you are pondering and that you want to become reality and start making them happen.
Yeah, like one of my favorite games, I don't know if like it's a proper game, but it's like GTA.
Yeah.
I love that because it's a concept actually of life. Like you could mess around the game for the whole, like forever.
And you won't get nothing.
And you won't get anything. And that's how life is.
Yeah.
But until you start going to the checkpoints and this character, then you meet this other character, and then you got this mission, and then you do like doing these missions, it progresses the story. And that's how life is. If you never get up to go shake hands or to go for what you want, your story mode never starts. So when they turn the game off, you're going to be stuck in the same spot.
Yeah, that's true. That's why when you said about the simulation, it makes a lot of sense. You just keep going in circles and you just feel trapped and then nothing happening. Well, what are you doing different to make it go that way?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not even taking the time to write it down to start.
And like I run into people like, nah, that's scary. But it's like, why? All that possibilities are endless. It's an open-ended world.
I think it's scarier. Somebody told me the other day, I have some years on me. Not a lot, but I have some. But he got to me because you need to act your age. I'm like, and I got ticked off. I'm like, what are you talking about? You never been my age. How do you know how I'm supposed to act?
Yeah.
Not to mention, you probably, like, to me, you feel like you're conforming to what society tells you that you should be or whatever. Yeah. Like, who said it's right or wrong? Like, whatever age you are, whether you're 60, 80, whatever the case might be.
But I've ran into old people, like older people that are cool and they're young. You feel like their vibe.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a certain way to be a certain age.
Society tells you that you needed to be a certain way, have certain things done with this,
and because
and that should be the right way.
Because you don't follow your goals, you never push. You dim. You can dim. You can always change it.
To me, those people can look at me and be like, "You're not molding to society." But to me, I feel a little bit of empathy towards them because I'm like, I'm not saying they can't do nothing, but the likelihood of them shooting for more is not gonna happen, really.
No, and it's like in there's certain things in life where they say like they can't do it for you. Is you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So whatever everybody's path is on, you can't change somebody's path. Now, if like if you were to come and ask me for help, cool, I'll help you. But if you don't want to help, you don't want the help. Even if I want to help you, I can't.
It doesn't matter because you don't want it.
You can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink
everything. And that's with everything, with addictions, with all kinds of stuff.
Everything.
With everything. If you don't want for yourself, with your heart, to want to do it, then it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's not just because I'm wishing, it's because you don't take the initiative to make it.
And as you, like, the thing that I've noticed is as I get older is like you do these things and you think you're cool and then bam. Yeah. And then you got to start all over. And you got to be humble enough to say, okay, you never start at zero, but you got to be humble enough to say, okay, I went through some stuff happened. I'm starting at zero, even though you always have your experience. Again, like a game, you can start the game over, but once if you start in that first level, you already lived it, so you get through it quicker. Right? So you don't ever really forget.
Yeah.
But it's like, but some people, they'll do something, they'll fall, and then they get stuck there because they don't want to try again.
Yeah, without realizing all the experience they gained from all that knowledge of having to fall, and then knowing, like you said, that the next level you already did it. So it's gonna be work, but it's not gonna be the hard work.
I remember before memory cards, I had to leave my video games on, and sometimes my mom was like,
"Turn it off." She turned it off,
and she turned it off, and
I
I'd be
feel you on that.
pissed the next day.
The whole night of playing games till 2 or 3 in the morning, gone with a switch,
and you had to start over.
That's not true. I feel you on that. Okay, so you actually were the one that created the Eratik ENT, which houses now Mandy Red, some of the models. I don't know who all, and also houses the music now.
The music, yeah.
So who all right now was in? Is you, Mandy?
Yeah, Mandy, and then Bad Bone.
Bad Bone. So y'all the only 3 members of it. There's pushing to what are y'all doing?
She's starting to like do more with us.
Okay. And to my understanding, it's pretty much like a hub for creative minds to do different things.
Yeah.
Not only modeling, but the music itself.
Because the word itself, erratic, means unpredictable, right? So, it's like it can be whatever we want it to be. Whatever you want it to be, you could be under there. If you want to, whatever it is, whatever kind of business, whatever kind of artistic expression you want to do, it'll house in there because, again, it's erratic. It's not predictable. Mandy, she's doing her music, and she's an artist, very good artist in her right. And then this is my artistry, right? And we can both fit in there and feel good about it because they also complement each other,
Gotcha.
Like visual arts. She does visual arts in the way of her performances and, videos and things like that. And mine is I can create images.
And where did you get the idea to create that? Because it was a dance team previously before, and you turned it into something else. Well, where did the spark of that name come from?
I was playing Madden.
You were playing Madden?
My favorite video game ever. And I used to play with Michael Vick.
Yeah.
And so he was fast. He had the speed.
He could run
but his
it, or
arm, his accuracy was really low.
Yeah.
So when you would throw it, a lot of times he would just throw it really bad.
Yeah.
And then the announcer would say, that was an erratic pass. I was like, oh, that's a cool word. Like, I never heard that word until I played Madden.
Yeah.
And then when I was coming up with a dance group name, I started writing it. And I put erratic, and I put Eratik ENT, which could be entertainment or enterprise, right? That's why I always left it as
entertainment
ENT.
or enterprise.
Because I didn't, but even back then I was like, oh, one day I'm going to do entertainment. But I was like, what if I don't want that? What if I want to do business? Because I like business also. Well, it can also be enterprise.
Yeah.
Not like the car rental, but enterprise.
Yeah, like a
Where
corporation.
like a big corporation.
Okay, that's pretty dope. Okay, so what event what other project do you have right now? Eratik ENT and yourself, as far as
Yeah.
what do you got coming up next? I know there's
Uh,
a single February 14,
Yeah.
Atracción Letal.
Atracción Letal is
coming out.
coming. And we're currently in the process of well, it's already ready to go. We're just doing finishing things. We just gotta shoot the video to it to get it going. And then also possibly maybe an EP coming. Where
So now we getting closer
music,
to an
man.
EP than an album.
Bro, there's so much music and it's so good. Like
Yeah.
Calentura is my favorite, like 1A, but then
Yeah.
like there's 1B, 1C, and 1D. And some of the songs that we have, I like them more.
You were telling me you were very excited about.
I'm
those
excited.
before,
Like I
right?
listen to them all the time
Yeah.
myself. Like I listen to them and I'm picky about my music. I'm not like an underground, like, oh, underground. Nah, I'm like, if it plays on the radio, I want to listen to it. I'm a sheep in that
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the music's sheepish, but it's good and I like it and I'm excited about it. So we're planning also that to come out later in the year.
That EP.
Yeah. And then as far as like my photography, I'm trying to expand it a little more to cover, like portraitures, family pictures, maternity, things like that, where I can create something cool for somebody that's, is going to have a baby.
Yeah, I was telling you before that I did like a little commercial for somebody, and I think the pictures, like if there was any kind of a version of traveling in time or capturing time, is in a picture.
Yeah.
Because like that's a still of something that happened wherever it happened, and that's it.
They can never come back.
So I used to say, a picture is not just a picture; it's capturing a moment in time, which is true.
Yeah. Yeah, and I learned I learned a new appreciation for that after the pandemic, when people were calling me up and saying, "Hey, do you have the picture where I was standing with my grandpa, or I had my grandma and my grandpa or my uncle? They passed away from COVID, and your pictures is the only nice pictures we have. Everything else is like, which is nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But they wanted to have something that, like." Something, the nicest thing that they can have, right?
Gotcha.
And they were like, my grandpa, I was standing there with my grandpa, so we want to have it at the viewing or whatever. And that gave me a whole new appreciation, because then that picture for me was like lighting and this and that, but then it took it from that to this thing that's invaluable, because I was able to give that to them, right?
Yeah.
I was able to use what I've learned to give this family something that when they're kids, or when they look at it years down the road, they're gonna see what I saw in my lens, And then even if down the road they don't know that I took it regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're able to feel that emotion of like, man, that's my grandpa, and they see him in their glory, basically. Because a lot of times, in events, they're suited up, or they're dressed nice, really nice, and because it was a fun day, it was a happy day for everybody there.
Yeah.
So you capture like the best.
That's true.
And-
I never
and
thought
that-
about it like that, but it's
And that
true.
makes me like, dang, like I'm a historian. It's like
In a
when
sense,
when people look back, the hieroglyphics, or like the painters like Da Vinci or Van Gogh or whatever, like they did their art in a certain way. So who knows, in 100 years, 1,000 years from now, my pictures or somebody's pictures, they're gonna be in a museum and be like,
Yeah,
this
they
is-
did that not that long ago.
This is how life was in 2023.
23, 22,
And
2020.
they're gonna be like, there were still ninjas. We don't know.
They're going to stop worshiping
Right?
Mandy Red,
Yeah.
thinking she was some kind of goddess.
Or or metal prints. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know how these got these alloys with the ancient primitive technology.
That's pretty cool.
And it's like, nah, man, we just went, to the pro labs and they hooked it up. But it's kind of like the Little Mermaid, when she's like doing her hair with the fork, because they don't know.
They don't know. You know what I was thinking of doing with my nieces? Do some kind of time capsule.
That's cool.
Where we
I've
can,
thought about that.
Where we
yeah.
can do stuff and then bury it somewhere like my dad's land, and just dig in there, put a plate on it, until maybe 50 years.
You could do a family portrait.
Something like
and
that.
do the air sealer because really the air is what really what rots whatever.
Rots the thing.
So you put that bag, you suck the air out of it, and you put it in there, and it'll be preserved. And then you'll be your portrait. And you may say, I see myself. What? One thing that people don't understand that I've had to learn to appreciate is appreciate yourself as you are, because that's what you are now. You may be having to work on yourself, or you may not like it. And I say this for the moms, like for the quinceañeras moms, and if you're going to get married and you feel, or you have a quinceañera or whatever, and you feel, no, es que tengo 3 kilos or whatever. Okay, like, just appreciate it and take the pictures, please. Because, like I said, people call me and ask me, hey, you have this picture. And sometimes I didn't have it porque la señora no quería salir porque se sentía gorda.
Ouch.
You know what I mean?
That's not cool.
And so learn
Take the picture, ladies.
Yes, learn to appreciate yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
And gentlemen, too.
And
Sometimes
guys learn to smile. It's okay. So, that's one thing that I will say that I've learned. Like, learn to appreciate whatever you look like. That's what, like the time capsule. Yeah. Because in the future, you don't know. You may, obviously, so far in the future, you won't be around. But your kids, when you look at your mom or your dad or your grandpa, you don't see that. You don't say, I know, I love my mom, but she weighs 10 pounds. I could love her 10 pounds less. No, you love them for who they are. Yeah. So you have to learn to love yourself, and it's okay. Like, take that picture, because in 10 years, when you are better, you're closer to your goal, you can say, oh, man, that picture, I was 20 pounds heavier. Okay, you did something about it. Cool. Yeah. Or what if it's worse? You know, how many times have you seen a picture like, man, I thought I looked dumb, or I thought I was big.
I'm really taking a toll. I need to get back.
Yeah, so, appreciate the moment. Appreciate yourself. When you have a chance to take a picture with your family, never hide. Never go around it.
Awesome. All right, we're running short on time.
Yes.
But anything that Miss Babel working on?
She's working on a documentary.
Ooh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she's had a cool, crazy life. So she's working on getting all that together.
Yeah, I know she doesn't realize that I know a lot about her too.
Yeah.
She didn't mention, we have something scheduled. Hopefully it comes to fruition, but she doesn't realize
I'm excited for that.
How much she had shared with me previously.
I've seen some of it. I've seen some of it, and it's cool, Brian. She's an artist in her own right too. She's more than just a pretty face.
I've seen some of the clips of the little mini films that she's done.
Yeah, it's that, but like even more deeper
cool.
into who she is and who she's morphing into. So that's exciting too.
And do you know if that's coming probably a time frame for that one? Not really.
I don't want to lie. I don't know.
Okay.
But she is actively like, because it's like a documentary.
Yeah.
It's not like like a short. It's not like a music video or something like that. It's something that as she lives, as she's going, she's adding and adding and adding, and it's gonna be really cool.
That's dope. All right. So again, we're running short on time. All your social medias, events coming up, new projects, merch. Where can I find everything?
At my website is aldoemmanuel.com with 2 M's. My Instagram is Aldo Emmanuel with the 3 instead of the E, and then Aldo Emmanuel Images is where all my event stuff is. So those 3 places, and Facebook, same thing. Aldo Emmanuel Images.
Got you. And then I'm going to put all that on the description. And merch, where can you get some of the merch?
You can go on my website and find my merch at aldoemmanuel.com. And there's a tab for gear.
Got you. And what do you have available as far as merch for you?
Man, beanies. There's sweatsuits, like sweatpants, sweatshirts.
Nice.
Hoodies. There's, what else is there? I think that's it.
A few things. Go to the website so you can check it out yourself.
Stuff like that.
Nice. And shout outs. Any shout outs that you have? Anybody you want to shout out?
For sure. I want to give a shout out to my business partner, Mandy Red.
She's in the house. She's trying to hide.
She's back there hiding. I want to give a shout out also to Bad Bone. I want to give a shout out to all the Calentura Mamis who I know personally. They're very, very hard workers, first of all. And they're not just models. They also have businesses, which is something very, very cool.
You know what I forgot to tell Mandy when I was talking about the Calentura Mamis is that when I seen them at the Dia de los Muertos event in Oak Cliff, Like they really ride for her. Not only that, but they be hustling, passing the cards out.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they even went to another establishment and got her song played
Yeah,
with
they
the
did.
DJ.
They did.
And they would give away cards. Like anytime anybody was taking
Yeah.
a picture, they were passing out
Yeah.
the sticker for the song.
Yeah.
So I was like,
it's
hustling.
really cool because it's a team effort.
Yeah, so shout
You
out to
know.
them because not only, again, if it wasn't because she believes in the show, they wouldn't believe on her. And
Exactly.
they wouldn't believe in passing out
And
those
we
things.
believe in them and what
Yeah,
they do. You
absolutely.
know? So it's like reciprocal.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, for sure, definitely shout out to all of them.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to name them because I'm gonna forget one.
I will have to go back to the
Yeah.
notes that I have for
yeah,
her.
yeah,
But
for sure.
you all know who you are, Calentura
Yes,
Mommies.
all of
and
them.
the future ones.
Yeah.
All right.
And then most of all, just my mom and my
Absolutely.
dad and my family.
Absolutely. All right, so a few more questions. What is a very important lesson that you learned about the music or picture industry that you will tell your younger self that will help somebody else?
Just start, because just start. Like don't worry about them. You have to be the best right off the bat. A lot of times I held back from doing things because I'm like, it's not going to be good,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to have everything together before I did it. It doesn't work like that. You do one thing, and you add another, and you add another, and you add another. Before you know it, you're building a wall.
Yeah, it's the 10,000 hours to
Not
master.
Trump's wall,
Yeah.
but like a wall or a structure.
It's the 10,000 hours to mastery. Like if you do things, the same thing repetitive, you're going to get better by default. Like it's almost impossible that you're not going to.
Yeah.
But if you don't do nothing, then nothing is going to show for
The
it.
journey of 1,000 steps
Yeah.
starts with the first one.
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
One. It doesn't say to run.
No.
You say just to take the first step and just
Yeah. Whatever
go.
it is.
That's why sometimes I don't get the leap of faith, but I get it because you literally start
Yeah.
with a step and then you keep moving that direction. Okay. And then one of the last questions that I'm rephrase this one. So I remember I told you usually I say something about because I heard it from somebody else that I'm not immortal. I am mortal and I will die one day. And not to scare me or put me in a place that I'm going to go, but just realization that we're not here forever, right?
Right.
And maybe it can stir up some urgency for me to keep doing
Yeah.
things instead of sitting and not doing
Yeah.
anything. So with that, after a long, prosperous life that you have, at the end of your life, what do you want people to feel or think about your life?
That that I had a good heart. Like I overall was kind and had good intentions for people
Awesome.
and made people laugh.
You made me laugh right now. There you go. Mission accomplished. All right, bro. From great story again, from coming an immigrant, being young, to having to go through the adversity of learning the language. Not to mention they had you in a class, not even an ESL class.
No.
ESL stands for English as a Second Language. That's where most people that come to the U.S. that don't know that language, they
Yeah.
put you there to learn the language. To having to go through all that and adversity to, like, not even wanting to, having the idea to shoot, so all of a sudden just picking up the camera, sucking,
Yeah.
and battling through that to now you're focusing on even competing
Yeah.
on different places as far as photography and and the vision that you have and the plan you have that you won't share with us, but I will respect it for the master plan for acting.
Yeah.
And I think to me, without a doubt, you definitely are a global Latin factor. So appreciate you being here.
Thank
Aldo
you for having
Emmanuel,
me.
you're a global Latin factor, senor.
Thanks.
Thank you. And one last question. Many years from now, if anybody was to Google you or search you on some kind of search engine, what do you hope for them to find about your life or your work?
I hope that they find a museum piece that I haven't done yet. I want one of my images to be up in a museum and say, just like to look at the Mona Lisa or just something like that. I want it to be up in a museum. Timeless piece by Aldo Emmanuel.
That's the next goal?
Yeah.
Awesome. I have no doubt you're going to get it done. All right, we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Thank you for the time. All right, this was another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Remember, we are just like you. We're just people. We are the spice in this melting pot that it is the world. Until next time. Paz. Thank you very much for checking out another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Make sure you go and subscribe to the channel. You are very important, and it means a lot to us whenever you go and subscribe and hit the bell so you can get notifications whenever we have new episodes. It really does truly mean a lot to us. Thank you very much.
What is Del Avigo? Walks like a pero but in fact is a flamingo. Coming to Havana and reach from Puerto Rico. On a pirate ship, you don't know where do we go. The birds of the jungle chasing fortune and fame, but who are